Yeah, I think it was a hell of a match. You know, well, no, I didn't. I didn't watch it. I'm having payment complications with my ESPN Plus account. So, yeah, I went to a Chicago Fire match, and with my AO buddies. You might have heard that I just started a new chapter here in Chicago, and it's great, man. It's great. I think, honestly, I think that we might be a little bit hard on MLS and their supporters. Um, they're swell guys. I don't know. It's just maybe things just. Yeah, what are you laughing at? Don't like no. I'm serious. Like this is serious stuff. But anyway, like, huh? Wait, what?
You are a community club. TCFC is a community-built club,
Local
and it will
athletic
always
team
be.
is pitching a plan to
These guys
revitalize
reach
a
out.
historic gem in our community, and it's a project that's driven by their passion for their sport.
State of disrepair right now. Concrete sort of crumbling a little bit. The bleachers.
Football club. We're at Keyworth Stadium. This stadium was built in 1936. Simply
Indeed,
put,
it's amazing to see just how far they have come. Years ago, they were playing over at Gas Tech, and now so many people.
Somebody scored the goal to really settle in. The post, and Stephon St. Louis is there to clear it.
In the background, they give us the 12th man. It's awesome.
Games and fans to watch. We're happy to put on a show for all these guys that came out to see us play.
When we move, they move, and just communication's the biggest part.
Great. I think we could have earned a shutout earlier against Sparta in the year.
Awesome. The atmosphere is amazing.
Monday with the right foot, it's in the back of the net.
People know us now. People know what to expect. Now we gotta take it to another level.
Look, city till I die. Say hi to the bad fella. Hella smooth with the flow, so grab your umbrella. Yeah, we make it rain, bring the pain. Things are changing. Power rankings take a spanking, got them rearranging. They said Denise are all stars till we deboed all y'all. Ball a fist and brawl y'all. Yeah, we pissed off all y'all, and we thin but still winning. Grinning at the top, got a pundit head spinning, make that chin pop. Blue collar clocking in. They been mocking us for days till they step into the key and they been leaving with a fade. Doubting us, but then they swayed. Say we pout, they throwing shade. You will never have what we have, time to get the blade. Cause we'll be cutting them up, yeah, we're shutting them up. We ain't bluffing, tell you something, better knuckle up. Y'all ain't nothing but chumps, we put in overtime. We'll be putting in work until it's closing time. City till I die, talking blood, sweat, and tears. City till I die, we've been building this for years. City till I die, this don't happen in a moment.
Just don't want, like, if I have to bury some bodies or something like that, somebody could. Oh wait, we're recording. Hey fellas, what's happening? Welcome back to the tunnel. It is it's just the three of us today. I got Alan with me.
Hey.
I got Adam with me.
Hello, everybody. Still get used to video. I see.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Hey. And then of course, like we all experience in any kind of workplace, there are people who, like those of us who put in work and show up to work on time and contribute to the workspace. And then you have the scrubby ass coworkers who don't show up for work, who no call, no show, who, just decide that instead of coming to the tunnel and meeting the obligations of their contract, they're going to go hang out in Chicago with American outlaws. I mean, we all have choices to make.
Well, Dennis does have an excuse after all that unfortunate stuff that happened in San Jose recently.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing, the Plume Pony incident, and everything that came after that. So he has an excuse. He's kind of on the run from the law, I think, right now.
Yeah. For those who don't know, we have it upon good source that Dennis is $1,000 in debt. What's the name of the place again? What did you say?
Plumed Pony.
Yeah, it sounds about right for a place that.
He's frequenting these fancy restaurants now. that have weird names,
Yeah,
hanging out with questionable people. So, you could say that maybe he was taken advantage of, or you could say he got into it and he shouldn't have. So he's kind of getting what he deserves.
yeah. Well, we've
If we
decided.
ever see him again, we'll let him know.
Yeah, he's we have a certain code of conduct with this show, and so unfortunately, Dennis has been suspended indefinitely. And we'll keep you updated from week to week on how that's going. And then I don't know, Adam, do you Jaime said something about he wasn't going to be able to be here, but I can't remember the reason why. Do you remember?
He was going to Cleveland to hang out with Vinny Bell.
Oh yeah, Vinny. Forgot about
Famous Vinny Bell.
No.
The 75-year-old soccer player. Yeah.
And Garrett is with Jaime right now because on the way to Cleveland, they're going to stop off at Toledo to go to the zoo.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and of course, I mean, at least for Rod, our thoughts and prayers go out to him. He's been suffering from a very severe case of constipation for weeks now. So he's not been able to make the show. And unfortunately, sometimes when it does turn the corner, it goes in the extreme opposite direction, and it's difficult for him to leave the toilet. So if you see Rod around at a match or anything, just, give him a little love tap and just tell
Ask him how he's doing.
Yeah.
Does he have a bucket? Is he sitting on a toilet with a bucket in his lap too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there at some point.
Yeah. Well,
maybe tonight by the end of this podcast.
Maybe
right. Well, while there is often, scrubby ass coworkers, there's also scrubby ass supporters. But on the other side of being scrubby ass supporters, there's some beautiful things that come out of supporters in lower league soccer, including some of the stuff that happened leading up during the match for the home opener this last Saturday. We'll get into the home opener, but guys, so between obviously the home opener was a memorial match where it seemed to organically come together as in a collaborative kind of way through supporters expressing some desire. And I know for me, when I expressed that desire to the front office, they already had something in the works. You know what I mean? Sean, very conscientious of the supporter base in a lot of ways in the community that we're building, wanted to do something as well. And so they were in talks. And so, of course, we had the memorial match. But before we even get into that, what happened at the beginning of the match, prior to that, we had a situation where the night before or the day before the match, all of a sudden Mother Nature was Mother Naturing because Alan, and decided to drop a shit ton of snow.
I sent a text, and hopefully we won't see that problem again.
Yeah, well, she's acting crazy again today, man, with the
massive blizzard coming on April 5th now, since Alan sent that text.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is what it is. We got to just bob and weave with being caught in the shrapnel of Alan versus Mother Nature.
You know what, though? Ironically enough, all the shit that we give Alan for the weather and everything, Saturday was the best home opener weather-wise since we got to USO.
It was so nice. It was chilly, but
yeah,
nowhere near as like it was last year, which was the worst.
Like yesterday.
Frozen rain, windy, miserable. Yeah. So yeah, it was loads better.
I was driving to work though that Friday because I had like a shit ton of stuff to do. We've said before on the podcast, I do stuff with NGS, and we had to get we had to finish up the merch shit for Saturday. We had to finish up the shirts and other items as well, and had stuff being delivered and everything. So I had to go to work on Friday. And I was driving. I live in Plymouth, work in Dexter. And when I was driving, it was really bad. Like it was really, really bad. Like whiteout conditions. Like we I haven't seen that pretty much all year. And I had to pull over because it was that icy like that snow mixed with ice type of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it got to the point where it was coming down so much that my wipers weren't working that well. So I had to go and clear shit off from my wipers, to have them work right. So I was looking for a place to pull over and I see this church. So I'm going to go pull into the parking lot of this church, but there's like a ditch there. And I couldn't see like where the driveway is to go into this church, so I just had to pull over on the side of the road because otherwise I was going to go in the ditch. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how the fuck are they going to get this game in tomorrow? This is awful. Like the snow just keeps coming down. How the fuck are they going to, how is this going to work tomorrow? But, lo and behold, as Red was kind of alluding to there, supporters coming to the rescue.
Yeah. So like the night before, or the evening before the match, the club put out a call for supporters, and basically come one, come all, make it to Keyworth at 10 a.m. on Saturday. There'll be drink and food vouchers for those who come out, and clearly folks showed up and deboed the shit out of that snow and had that place looking beautiful. Like it was actually a really pretty scene actually coming into Keyworth, with the snow built up around the field and everything. Like it was just cool.
Right.
Yeah, I liked it. And so, once again, kudos to the supporters, those who were able to come out and help out with that effort. It makes a world of difference. It was pretty.
You hear a lot of platitudes too, like a lot of the times in professional sports, where professional sports teams would be like, oh yeah, we couldn't do this without the supporters. We couldn't do this without the fans. Saturday, if it wasn't for the supporters, that game probably doesn't happen.
Right.
So
beautiful thing, man. That's why we have this community, well, and related to that, actually before that, I would say before that even happened, because, this is, weeks, if not months, not if it is months in the workings of all of the supporters who got out to help with all the tifo and the banners that were created in anticipation for the 2024 men's side launching this season. Yeah, I saw the tifo. Didn't realize actually. And I'll get to this in the next little piece, but I happened to stumble on a situation where I was a part of the coin toss. and so I didn't see the tifo because it was behind me, and it wasn't until I saw photos of the tifo that I was like, oh shit, I missed that. It's like a big thing every home opener, to be able to see the tifo or at least be a part of launching it, whatever it is. But yeah, it was beautiful, man. It was, people really, really showed up and did something nice with that tifo. I thought it was nice. What were you guys' thoughts on this year's?
The what makes it even more extraordinary is that was not the tifo that was planned for the home opener.
Oh, really?
There was a much more elaborate tifo that was created over the last several weeks, created and completed. And it was kind of based on the weather reports. It was just going to be too windy to deploy that. And so over the course of I think 5 days, I think the decision was taken after the season opener that, needed something different. And so in between the season opener and the home opener the next week, an entire tifo was created.
Wow.
Which, it was just amazing to pull that off. And there's a good crew of folk that come out for the TIFO sessions. There's a space now that people can work on those things. It just goes to show that, you know, we collectively been working on this for a while and have some of this stuff really, you know, pretty efficient now. But the original TIFO still will be used at a future date, and it's going to
Yep.
be spectacular. So stay tuned.
Which was cool to see too, Alan, that, because last year, like the TIFO wasn't able to be unveiled until like, I don't know, like May or something like that, just because
Weeks and
the
weeks into
weather
the
was
season.
always since the weather was always such shit. So yeah, it was cool to actually see like a backup made and executed, and amazingly enough in that short amount of time. And obviously what else is cool too is the club showed their appreciation by going down to the TIFO space and checking things out, bringing dinner for everybody that was down there.
Well, and not even
They
just the club, right? Like we're talking.
players, Danny Dicchio was there, Trevor, Tiffany, players that were there too, Ben, Ali Coot, Michael Bryant was there, of course. Ryan Williams, I think that was like his first appearance
Oh wow!
with City since he got into town. Um, yeah, I mean it was really really cool to see. There were some other individuals too from the front office that also made it, but that was a really cool sight to see too. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think they were interested because they wanted to like know what goes on behind the scenes. You know, get exposure to what's going on behind the scenes, and I think a lot of that's coming from, you know, kind of the tone that's been set by our new head coach, who has reinforced this message over and over and over again since he's been here. That, you know, this is a supporter based club, and that's rooted in the community, and it's been demonstrating that uh, pretty vigorously. And I think that was good, and it was good for the players to see that. Yeah, people put a lot of time and effort into this to
Yeah.
support the club. It's not just people buying tickets and going for an hour and then going back home. There's a lot more that goes into it, and you know, you could look at all the various efforts. It's not just one group of people; it's many people.
Right.
So that's a good thing to see.
it's not like going to a Red Wing game, driving
Yeah,
in from I don't know, Bloomfield Hills or something to go to LCA, then drive back immediately after the game. It's People put in some time. I mean, there's that obviously, like Alan said, that TIFO crew was down there every single day last week. Um, in some cases, for most of the day, or they would put on, a full day's work at their 9 to 5, then go down to the TIFO space and stay down there until, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So,
right.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of passion, obviously, behind the club, and it continues. It continues even in 2024. So,
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see, and we could sit there and talk about that the whole episode, but we're well into this, and we haven't even gotten to the home opener victory. But before we get into that, wanted to touch base about the memorial. So the home opener against Loudon this past Saturday, which would have been what, the 24th? Yeah, no, 23rd. 323, right? Home opener at Keyworth Stadium against Loudon was a memorial match where was dedicated to supporters of this club who have passed through the years. And, one of the things that brought this about was obviously we had a pretty rough year in 2023 for losing supporters, including losing, Josh Prentice, Carl Banks, Jimmy Harkins, and some other folks as well, that
Parker Nobles is another one.
but yeah, thank you. Apologize. You know, just oh man, and we've talked about this a little bit, and I think that if you were gonna find a silver lining with these moments, one of the things that often happens is that people who are in this community, who bear certain level of fruit while they're in this community, what they've brought to this community tends to live on beyond them and is etched in the hearts of many supporters. And because of that, because of those relationships that are built, as we come together and fellowship and build this club, is honoring them when they've passed. And I think that became really eminent. And I think for a lot of us just had kind of a gut check this year. And I think many people were like, well, what are we doing in this moment? Like if we truly are beyond just the name of being a community for the sake of being a community, because a group of people come together and support soccer and, put together a variety of things related to the match day. We know that it's beyond that. We are truly living life together, and with living life, people come and go. And so I thought that it was a pretty big moment for the club actually to kind of formalize that, And, we've mentioned in previous gatherings here in the tunnel, little things that were being done even around the clubhouse. If you go in, if you look where, Trevor's oil painting is, underneath that, you'll see a photo of Carl, you'll see a photo of Jimmy, you know what I mean? I know there's some other ideas floating around about honoring Josh, just stuff like that, man, it means a lot. And so I had it's kind of funny for me, for the home opener, because Carl was a friend. I wouldn't say he was a close friend, but we kept in contact pretty regularly. And, including, even when he was in the hospital and, he was worried about, the length of time he was going to be there, and he was pretty scared, and so we were texting back and forth, and unfortunately didn't get a chance to get in to see him. By the time I reached out to go get in and see him, he had already been transitioned back at home and thought everything was fine, and a few days later he passed away. But I reached out to Camille Banks, his wife, and his daughter Kayla, to see if they wanted to go to the home opener some weeks back. And, Kayla's out of town, she's in like Baltimore going to college or something like that. And Camille was down for it. And so we were just going to go to the match. And then, I was having a conversation with you guys that, that Carl's wife was going to be at the match. And then I think it was Dennis that mentioned that there was something in the works. That was the first time that I heard that there was something in the works for the home opener, that it was going to be a memorial match. Or maybe I heard it and, I forget a lot of things. So, it's possible that somebody said something and I forgot. And before you knew it, I was messaging Sean, man, and he said, we actually wanted to offer Camille the opportunity to be the honorary captain. It's like, oh, that's dope, you know what I mean? But, reach out to Camille to see if she even wanted to do that, because different people grieve differently, so you don't want to assume that somebody wants to be like at center stage in front of 6,000 plus people doing that. And she was thrilled about it, to do it in honor of Carl. And, it was really, really, really special. And again, we were just meeting up for the match. So I, I just met up with her. And then before you know it, I was being shepherded into the VIP, and I was, over there at the owner's box, if you will. Right. And then they were giving Camille instructions. And then before you know it, she was being shepherded over to an area. And then I was being flagged over, like, you coming, Red? At first I was like, no, I'm good, and then TJ looked and he was like, come over. And before you know it, I'm sitting there at the coin toss. It was just like, wow, it's kind of cool. But anyway, it's not about me, but it was just cool. It was really cool that they did that. there, and then we could transition right into the match, because actually an interesting moment in that whole process was in the 13th minute of the match. And it was announced, and as people came into the stadium, they were handed a little quarter sheet or an eighth sheet or something like that that was saying, like, this is the memorial match, and in the 13th minute we're going to do 30 seconds for a moment of silence in honor of those who have passed. So I knew that was going to come from the supporters, right? There was not going to be any singing, any chanting, although I did hear a little bit during that time, and I was like, fuck you doing, right? But that was just somebody who might have not realized what was going on. So grace, right? Grace. But I knew that the supporters were going to be chanting. I didn't realize that even the broadcast, because I, do what I always do. You literally go to the match and see it firsthand, and then I come home and I watch it on TV again, right? I didn't realize that the broadcast actually went silent as well, and they announced why they were going silent. And then, Alan, what happened in the 30 seconds of silence to honor the deceased supporters of Detroit City FC?
Well, we gave up a goal.
We gave up a goal. I didn't even know we gave up a goal.
That was kind of horrifying to watch.
I had my head down.
No, this is not going to happen. Oh, shit.
Dog, I had my head down praying. And then I looked my head up and they were cheering, but you couldn't really hear it. Like, there's 1-0. But
I think I was going to say that maybe that's a sign from maybe it shouldn't go about that way again. Memorials are great. We should continue to do them, but maybe we do them a different way next time. I don't know. A lot of people too were thinking maybe that kind of threw the guys off a little bit.
They've played.
I don't know.
Michigan Stars before.
But it was a fluky goal too. Like it was just it was just a misplay. Yeah. By Lai, and it just happened. And he felt terrible about it. If you read some of the post-match stuff, but yeah, I wonder if they're thinking about doing things a little bit different next time. The memorial, maybe a moment of silence before the game, and just like something else to kind of keep the spirits up during the match as a way to remember those who passed on. So yeah.
Well, so we're alluding to Detroit City took on Loudon. They came here to Keyworth, and we came out 2-1 and pulled 3 points. But there was a lot going on in a lot of different ways. That goal, of course, in the 13th minute during the moment of silence, and that took us into the half, trailing 1-0 to Loudon. And then, such a redemption story, huh? What happened in the 50? I think it was the 58th minute. Let me see here. The 56th minute. Lie. Let me show you this. Here. This was amazing here. This goal, I have watched this goal over and over and over multiple times.
Yes. The joke. Gets that. So
that goal. Look at that. It gets the special. Look at this.
Equalizer.
Boom. That ball gets quicker as it gets closer to the goal. That was a fucking amazing shot. But and then of course what was it? How much later? Sorry, I'm not geared. I don't have this thing rolling right off the top of my head. 15 minutes later, in the 71st minute, we went up 2-1. I would say as a result of a pretty persistent press in our offensive third at the hands of Elvis
putting in some work up there, putting some pressure on the keeper. The keeper made a boneheaded mistake. And then Maxey, as has been said over and over in the broadcast and whatnot, probably scoring the easiest goal that he's going to score in his career. But that doesn't take anything away from everything leading up to that. So City comes out up with 3 points, home opener against Loudoun, who so far this year is not a joke. This is not the Loudoun of the past. Alan, just what was your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I think it was a real contrast in the second half. So, much more organized, a better response. I think going down a goal, like we mentioned, was unfortunate. And it was pretty even in the first half. I wouldn't say we looked terrible, but Loudoun was a handful. So it's what you want to see. You want to see a response. We definitely got that response. Loudoun needs a new goalkeeper. That guy was the pits.
Because Maxey almost put another one in on him after that. It was a good save by
the guy's got like melted butter on his gloves or something. I don't know. He's eating some popcorn during the game or something. So that was good. It was a good crowd. The weather was cooperative. What a contrast between the day before. I mean, it was just like it was wintertime the day before, and then for the home opener, it was pleasant and a little windy, but I think everybody had a good time. Maybe we can discuss the attendance numbers, and it was I don't know a lot more than I would have thought, but we're good.
I actually guessed it. I actually said I said it was going to be around 6,200. And it was, 6130 something or something like that?
Yeah. No, we had over 62. We had over 62,000 or 6,200.
Oh, it was 6230 something maybe then.
I think it was like 6231 or something like that. Garrett made me write it down.
6231.
It was 6231, yeah.
I think it was 6230.
Okay. I know that the attendance numbers, it's not a scientific process. Some of it involves astrology, perhaps like reading of animal entrails. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. So I won't say that number was maybe inflated, but what do I know? But that's what went down in the record book. So
really, because when I looked around that crowd, because the place was packed pretty much except for the south end, and that to me,
but we've had games where it was like people are so stuffed in there. You got to know your neighbor pretty well.
Well, and we didn't have anybody on the what's the end where the VIP end is?
Yeah, that whole section there was because they had to shift over the VIP people that would have otherwise been behind the goal because the snow was piled up over there, so they got shifted a little bit. I didn't feel like it was as full as it's been, but like I said, I don't know how any of that stuff works. So it could have been that may have been including people who bought tickets, maybe not there. So I don't know, but it was a great vibe, and it was nice to see everything kind of in the first game. You expect a little bit of like hiccups here and there, but everything seemed to be going pretty smoothly in terms of the food trucks and everything going on at the game. So that was a good way to get started. The various pre-game festivities in the various bars near the stadium. It seemed like a lot of people were there, so that was fun.
Adam, what's your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, vibes certainly seem to be back in the pre-match, which is nice to see, nice to hear about. Um, as far as yeah, and as far as the attendance too, yeah, maybe it wasn't quite 6,200, but it certainly was surprising considering the weather and the day before and the cold and everything like that to still see that many
It was a
people
full
there.
house, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was good to see that. As far as the game itself, I kind of thought that that City was well, that Loudon was fortunate enough to be up 1-0 at the half, because it certainly seemed like we had a couple of chances. I want to say within those first 5 minutes.
Like the second minute.
Yeah,
Right.
to score a goal, and it didn't happen. I was on the other end, so I didn't quite see it. But when I looked, because I watched the match too, when I got back home, and we had our chances. We had our chances in the first half, and I thought it was pretty even tilted. But again, I thought that we could have had it, a 1-1, maybe 2-1 lead at the half. But yeah, in the second there was quite the contrast, and it was one of those things where City, the whole thing from 2 years ago, the second half City, it was on full display this past Saturday. It was definitely their best half of football so far this year. Obviously, only 2 games, but still, and quite frankly, it was probably their best. It was probably their best half in quite some time, I thought. The press obviously was working. We're seeing something completely different in this team when it comes to possession. They're holding a lot of possession to start the season, and I don't think that's something that we're quite used to. Last week too, we talked about the back line really having to step up, which they had to. I that wasn't something that was an outlier or anything like that. They had to, considering Loudon had already scored 5 goals going into last Saturday's match, so they were obviously on fire. They were clicking offensively, and it was something that City had to make sure that they had buttoned down. Funny thing is, though, is Loudon really didn't get a whole lot of chances. I mean, Nate could have very well. Nate probably should have had a clean sheet Saturday if it wasn't for that mistake in the 13th minute. But the one impressive thing, though, about the match continues to be the way that our forwards are playing really in mid-season form. I mean, it does look like a team that enjoys playing together, that is really gelled offensively so early, and it's something too that was completely lost on the squad last season. Last season, it took forever for them to find any type of cohesion amongst each other. And it just seemed like, and I'm not blaming this on Trevor or anything like that, as much as Jaime might want to think that. It just seemed like there was a real tough time last season to find the right chemistry in order to make it work. You try this, it doesn't work. You try that, it doesn't work. And this year we got it right from the very beginning, it seems. Now, again, it is still very, very early in the season, and this team is going to go through some rough patches. It's a long season. That's just what happens. But it is definitely impressive to see where this team is at right now, so early in the season, and especially in comparison to because this is what we were looking for all of last season.
Yeah.
And we already found it. We already found it this year. And, people might look at Trevor for not making the right moves last year. I'll tell you one right move he's made this season. I'm talking about Trevor is signing Elvis Amo. Elvis Amo has been
game changer,
a huge difference
legit.
maker, and you only wish that we had Elvis, if not a guy like Elvis last season, because the guy in the press, he can even do it a little bit defensively. He's everything that we've wanted on this team since I don't even know.
Murphy too. Murphy, man,
James,
probably because he's Irish.
And Red's trying to still compensate and make up for that Murphy slander earlier on. But yeah, James Murphy has been again. He's been a welcome piece in that midfield. And I thought the midfield was a little bit shaky to start. Not so much shaky, but a little bit slow to kind of get things going. I guess that would have been my critique for the team in the first half, was trying to generate anything out of that midfield, which worried me a little bit because that was a little bit of a problem of ours last season as well, was generating any type of energy from that midfield. But they definitely really came on, and I love the energy that James Murphy brings, especially after that second goal when he was just screaming his fucking head off at Loudoun's keeper after Maxi made him pay. But something too that Maxi goal at first was great, obviously because it was the game winner. And I thought that Loudoun player made a good play to keep the ball out of the net on that second Maxi attempt, but. Yeah. I also noticed that Maxi didn't get all of it. I think he struck it with his left foot. And if Maxi would have got his right foot on it, it would have been in the back of the net. It would have been 3-1. So, but yeah, very, very impressive. Elvis Amo has been incredible for this team. That strike from Lai was great. Really, that big three that they've really been, kind of forming here in Elvis, Maxi, and Ali has been very, very impressive, and one that opposing managers are definitely going to have to really game plan for moving forward this season.
I mean,
City.
Go ahead, Alan.
City had 11 shots, 6 on target. That was just we didn't see those kind of numbers last season in most games.
And there are multiple moments, right? There's that one that Maxi almost bent into the goal in the first half. There was Murphy almost put that free kick in on the first half. Well, I don't know if he almost put it in, but it was solid, right? He had that free kick. I think it was probably maybe 30 yards, 35 yards out. Right, there was Maxi in the second half with the one that he, like you said, I agree with you. He kind of scuffed it a little bit. There were just multiple moments, and they're exciting too. You're right, Adam, in terms of the possession. I was looking at it before we jumped into the tunnel. Through the first 2 matches, we've had like 56, 57% possession through the first 2 matches.
Yep, which is 56% against Colorado Springs, and then we had 57 against Loudoun. 11 shots on target, like Alan said, against Loudoun, 6 on target. We had 14 shots against Colorado Springs, and again 6 on target for that match as well. So yeah,
it's and I think not only that, but I agree with you in the first half. Especially, let's say, like the first quarter of the match in particular, it seemed like the midfield was a little bit discombobulated in ways. I felt like in the second half, the midfield, they played really well under pressure. There were multiple moments when I was going back. I went back and watched the stream a couple of times, and I was really impressed of the composure that we had in the midfield
under pressure, how they worked, how they got out of it. You know what I mean? So it's not just that that we're possessing the ball more. You'll also notice, I think if you go in and look at the stats for the Colorado match, if I remember correctly, I think a significant amount of our possession was in our offensive half, right? Which even in last year when we had close to a majority of the possession, it was always in our defensive half. Well, the majority was in our defensive half. So, that's a very, very welcome change that we're seeing this season. There was another thing that I noticed that I can't think of off the top of my head right now that popped out to me when I was looking at the statistics. I don't know. It'll come back, but it just seems like not only are we being more possession oriented in a way that like we were kind of expecting based off of what was verbalized last season that never kind of came into fruition. Like they're not just more possession oriented, but they're possession oriented with intentionality, right? And they're moving it forward. And it's been nice. It's just been really nice, beautiful football to watch too. Sometimes even last season when we would come out with a victory, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, I'm glad that we got 3 points out of that. But I wasn't coming home and watching the damn match because it was ugly as hell. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, we were scrappy and we got it, but like I'm not trying to see that again. You know what I mean? Like because matches where like you could have easily said, yeah, we could have easily lost that match. Like that's pretty good. And those are solid wins, right? It's weird to say that 3 points against Loudon at Keyworth is a solid win, given that it's a squad that we've beaten we've never lost to, right? I think we beat 3 out of 4 times. But that, like I said, that's a different Loudon this year. They've been playing well, and they're probably going to be a top half of the table squad in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And, Colorado, is always pretty strong. So I'm excited. I know what the other thing was going to be. Go in and look at the stats through the first matches and just see purely how many times we've passed the ball. We're talking 450 to 500 passes a match, like blowing the opposition out of the water. So like obviously you would expect that with 57% of the possession, but that we weren't doing that last season. We couldn't maintain possession under the ball. It seemed like the midfield under pressure lost the ball.
We were turning it over quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's pretty good. I was told though, this year one of the things that did help is that they again got a boost in the budget for players. So that actually helped us recruit some different players here as well because we actually had the budget to bring them here. Just think, right? We haven't even seen the likes of Ryan Williams yet. And what's the other fella that we signed on loan from the Fire?
Victor Becerra?
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's, we'll see with him because he's, I got the impression from talking to Tiffany that, it's not, his injuries might not be that significant, you know what I mean, that we should to worry about in terms of like where he's at now. Now, that's not what she said. That's just what I made because I don't, when I get into those conversations, I don't really press anybody. So I just they say little things and then I let my imagination run wild. Right. But I definitely got the impression that
So he's going to score he's going to be good for 40 goals this season based on your conversation.
Yeah. Somewhere around.
Okay.
Maybe he's going to put up hockey numbers.
Let's not get in over our heads. I think it's going to be more 25. Around 20. No.
Okay, that's more reasonable.
Yeah.
That's a very I don't want to say mediocre, but respectable hockey goal scoring number.
Right.
25 goals is respectable. It's not 30, which would have been, good, but it's respectable at 25. Right. A good thing with Victor, though, Victor Becerra, I mean, the good thing about him in terms of this team is that he's not going to be coming onto this team and, being put into a pressure situation of, hey, we need goals. you're gonna have to be the one that's going to score him. This isn't if this was Victor coming into last year's team, then yeah, there would be some pressure on him. But the way that Elvis, Ali, and Maxi are playing up front, there's not going to be any pressure. There's not going to be any rush. There shouldn't be any rush for him to, get on the pitch or anything like that. It should be very, very it should happen very, very easy.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, actually, you alluded to that early chance like I said, I think it was in the second or third minute. I think that was Ali, right? And I remember going back and watching that, and that was a perfect example where that chance didn't look like, if I'm judging how we've played the last couple of seasons, that chance would have never manifested because he was under some pressure, and there were just moments where he could have easily lost possession of the ball, but because of pure individual skill in certain moments on that, he kept that ball alive. And I was amazed when I went back and watched that opportunity, because I completely missed that opportunity. I think I was in the beer line or something like that, because it was only 2 minutes into the match. I'd already finished my first beer that I got to start for kickoff.
No. Red was in the owner's suite.
I was at that time. I was living society life. High society. You won't even want to know what happens in that suite, son. I saw things that you don't ever want to see again. But I'll share it with you if you send me $20 to my Cash App. Anyway, but yeah. So with that victory, the City starts off the season 2-0. Right now, second on the table. Obviously, there's a lot of soccer to be played, right? But it's pretty good. It's our best start, I think, right? Since we've joined. I mean, we started off pretty strongly the first year, but I don't think we started off to victory. We did.
Red? Who's at the bottom there? I can't quite read that.
I don't. Well, Pittsburgh. Oh, look at those little guys.
Oh no!
God.
We broke them.
0. Oh my God.
That's
they're never going to win a game again.
You remember when WMB broke Lansing United and the club just slowly crumbled over the coming years after
They're still mad about that.
Man, Pittsburgh, I think that we can safely credit ourselves for the demise of Pittsburgh. We embarrassed the shit out of them after a superior regular season performance, and they're just living their life in shame now. So, yeah, Detroit City starts off, and we're in second in the table.
Indy in 7th. Oh, that's tasty.
Yeah.
We'll be visiting them this weekend.
7th, and they've had 3 matches. And remember, I'll be interested to know, because I know when we talked about that preseason match against Indy, it was a rough one. And what I mean by rough, I mean it was testy. It was choppy. There was some push stuff, and I think I even heard that from somebody in the front office that were there, said like, no, it was like some serious beef going on in that match. So I don't know what led to that, but that was I think, was that our last preseason match?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, second to last, but that's going to add some extra dimension to that.
We're doing their great, last,
and they're not doing so hot.
Yeah, right. It was Indy's last preseason match because they had a match. They had a regular season match. They were playing. Who they start off the season against? I thought I had it here with me, but did they have losing their opener?
No.
Yeah, they did. They had a match against the Roots, who they lost to on the road 2-1.
That's right.
And then they beat Vegas, and they drew against Sacramento.
No, they beat Memphis, and then they...
Memphis, yeah.
Yep.
Yep, we can do it right here. Yeah, right here. Yep. 2-1. Yep. Beat Memphis,
Memphis.
2-1. And then, well, they drew Sacramento, right? Which solid, so Indy's not going to be any joke this Saturday either, right? Which I guess leads us into our next piece here. It's, this Saturday, March 30th, right? Detroit City heads out to Indianapolis to take on Indy 11 in our third match of the season. Indy's coming off, as you all just mentioned, a 1-1 draw against Sacramento and a victory against Memphis and opening loss against Oakland Roots. How you guys feeling going into that match?
You can go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, a lot better than I would have 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago after we got kind of slapped around a little bit by them. But pretty much the same concern that we had with Loudon is that, is true with Indy, is they've got a very productive attacking player. What's his name? Jack Blake, who's scored 2 goals for them already. So kind of keeping that guy locked down. It wasn't that we were so concerned about in the Loudon match. Let's see. That guy, Zach Ryan, he didn't do shit in the game against us. So that looks very promising, that if we can really target the other side in terms of the players to watch out for, if we can shut down those players, then that's good. That's looking good.
12 yellow cards in the first 3 matches for Indy.
Oh shit. Okay. So these are people with some issues, clearly.
Well, one thing I'm noticing about them, though, through their first 3 matches, a total of just over 1,000 passes. We've almost reached that in 2 matches. So I wonder if that, of course, that's Sacramento and Memphis, which, are nothing to snuff, you know what I mean? But,
That's the analysis that you're here for.
But sorry, I kind of interrupted you there. You had your mouth open, so I started talking again. So Memphis, is it? You get the sense that there is any kind of legitimate rivalry brewing between us and I'm not Memphis. I'm sorry, Indy. Brewing between us. Is it worthy of calling it a rivalry?
I would think. I mean, sure. I think it's a budding rivalry between the two clubs. I mean, that's what you're going to get with proximity and for how many times we face them. Another player too to keep an eye on is Augustine Williams, who was with Charleston Battery last year. He is playing up top for Indy this season. Very, very dangerous player. So they're definitely going to have to keep an eye on him as well. It is so hard to judge these early games, though, against these teams. I don't think that Indy being 1-1-1 on the year, I don't think is something that City should take for granted, or they are going to take for granted. I think that they're going to be very well prepared again coming out against this Indy squad, who's again in somewhat of a similar position that City's in. There's they had a little bit of turnover on their roster, and they also have a new head coach as well after Mark Lowry. Where he ended up going. I think he ended up going to MLS Next Pro, was to Jacksonville, if I remember that correctly. But their new head coach, Sean McCauley, was an interim head coach last year with the Minnesota United of MLS. So, they get a guy coming over from MLS who has them playing decent to start the season. I mean, that Oakland win, I think is going to be that's probably going to be chalked up to a kind of a bad loss. Later on in the season, that's probably going to be one that Indy's going to go look back on their schedule and be like, I wish we had that one back, because I don't think Oakland's going to be very, very, very good this year. But drawing against Sacramento, that's getting any type of points against them is always an accomplishment. They're always a really good team, and then scoring that 2-1 win over Memphis, win is a win. But yeah, Indy's beaten us the last 2 times we've played them. Obviously, Alan remembers from last season, 3-0 on the road, which, I'm sure many City fans, City supporters thought that was going to be the dagger on the season.
Yeah, that was no fun.
Yeah. And then beating us in our home opener last season was at 1-0 in shitty weather, which again was just like a precursor to how the rest of the season was going to go. But yeah, we haven't scored. We haven't scored a goal against Indy 11 in the regular season since 2022. And yeah, even before that, we've beat them once and drew them once again in 2022. So we're definitely due for a nice result against Indy. Hopefully, it comes this weekend, because we're going to have to, going on the road playing in Indy, we're going to have to be, we're going to have to pull another good performance. I mean, we play like we did against Loudoun Saturday, or this coming Saturday, then I think we win that match against Indy.
Are we going to make any changes, or do you think this is the shape we should run with?
Why change anything? I mean,
it seems like
it looks.
Just even in comparison to the Colorado Springs game, it seemed like this was better.
Yeah, that four. I mean, yeah, I mean that back four that we're playing with the 2 back wings. It seems like that's working out really, really well.
Yeah.
The way our midfield is going too, since being able to push Maxi up, giving Maxi a little bit more freedom to get pushed up into the attacking play a little bit more, and
the double pivot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that seems to be like very creative for us, and I wouldn't want to mess with that at all.
No, and it's something that I think we've been. Yeah, and I think getting Maxi more involved in the attack is something that I think City supporters have been wanting to see for quite some time now. So I don't want to see them deviate away from that at all. I know there was, I know there's some discussion, and it's obviously revolving around Ben Morris, who's been quiet to start the season. But that's okay. I don't know if you want to start Reese in place of Ben Morris.
Trying to break Jaime's heart.
But
I don't know. Reese coming in off the bench.
Reese
he's come in with a little bit of fire. So clearly he wants to start. But
of course, yeah, definitely. I mean, and I don't blame him. But yeah, I mean, I think you're getting ready to say, Alan. I mean, there's something to be said too about having certain guys ready to go off the bench. to either wear the other team down if you're ahead, or give yourself a little bit of an extra fresh spark to put you over the top, which is something I think Reese is a nice guy to have in your deck, ready to play when you need that, when the situation presents itself like that. Even Connor. I mean, I'm hoping Connor is ready to go, because if Connor's ready to go and we're ahead against Indy, then you put him in to kind of close things out for you, wear down the other team. So
I got the impression because I saw him, not dressed up, and I, slid over there and chat with him real quick, and I got the impression that he just took a bump in practice. It didn't sound like it was anything serious. It sounded like it was
That's
just
good.
a cautionary measure. So
Well, Danny made 5 subs in the game against Loudon.
A whole nother change. Man.
So, all relatively late in the game, but Villanueva came in 66 minute for Levi's, and
I liked what I was seeing
after that. So it seemed like those subs worked out pretty good, and added a dimension. So, I would roll with that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was cool seeing Daniel Espolita come in too at Keyworth. He looked pumped and ready to go. I mean, I can only imagine, the feeling too, coming in, home opener at Keyworth.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool feeling for him.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's our men's side. Women's side still has a little bit of business to take care of before we get into the playoffs. So, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and head over to the PASL website.
Oh, no.
Clearly, you can see upcoming games that Cincinnati Sirens, who have only played one match that they won, is going to face off against the Sirens Academy on December 18th, 2022.
That's gonna be a good match. That's gonna be a good match.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But while they're playing a match back in December of 2022, the City Women are going to be heading over there to Great Lakes FC, which refresh my memory. That's outside of Grand Rapids, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Does if we beat them, does this count as another win against Midwest United?
Good question. I don't know. I hope. But we take on Great Lakes FC this Saturday at the Great Lakes. We'll just say the match was moved up a little bit, so it's going to take place at 1:30 p.m. For those who are planning to head out to the Great Lakes to see that match.
Are great. I mean, let's face it, our lakes are great.
Yeah, they're not hard to find. They're the lakes that are great.
Keep on driving until you run into Lake Michigan, and then you're there.
If you get lost, just head on over there to the PASL website, and you'll be able to find. Maybe don't. The next the next game in the women's division is on February 11th at 3:00. So, yeah, so you probably could go there, and I don't know. If you can't find it, you're fucked. All right. If you want PASL news, go to Detroit City FC and see what we tweet out, because we actually communicate what our clubs do.
No, so is there a league office we can call, or are we just gonna get some?
Yeah, actually, I got the. Hold on. The email is bigboyfryguy69@yahoo.com.
You write your question on a note and you put it in a stump, and you come back 2 weeks later, and you'll have your answer.
So, well, what we know is that the women have one more regular season match against Great Lakes FC, and then they're heading to Cincinnati.
Yes.
Somewhere in Ohio. They're going somewhere in Ohio for the playoffs. So if you're interested in going, go somewhere in Ohio.
We
So,
think it's Cincinnati. We think it's Cincinnati.
which isn't far from Toledo, that has a wonderful zoo. For those who are
No, Red. Cincinnati
Cincinnati
is
has a
pretty
great
far
zoo.
away from. But Cincinnati is also pretty far away from Toledo.
I mean, distance is a social concept, bro.
You have to go through Toledo to get to Cincinnati.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Okay? That's what I meant. All right?
So if you play your cards right, you could go to 2 zoos in the same day.
Garrett isn't leaving the Toledo Zoo though.
No,
He's
it's like
Garrett
why
is
would
staying
you?
at.
It's
Yeah,
such a
Garrett is staying at the
fantastic
Toledo
zoo.
Yeah. It's the only one in the world. Rejoice.
It's the only
Garrett,
one in
get in the car.
Toledo.
We still have some more driving to do, Garrett. He's like, no, I'm here, you guys. I'm here.
But anyway, guys, here we go. You just got to remember, we're in a season now where things come and things go. There's new beginnings. I'm doing Garrett's fluffy thing at the end, right? We're 2 matches in, right? New beginnings with Easter upon us and the symbolism of that. And
Terrible Garrett.
yeah. And then we just had a new TIFO, and PASL needs a new website. There's a lot of new things. But in the process of learning about new things, love one another. Love one another. Walk with one another.
It's gonna kill you.
Have grace. Have mercy. And love
Maybe
one
we should help him.
and help the PASL update their website. City 1, city overall. Window to the walls. Skeet skeet.
Garrett, we didn't have anything to do with this. We totally disavow these shenanigans here.
City till I die, say hi to the bad guy. Pretty gritty in the key, you see our flag fly, chin check, hashtag we came to sweep the leg. With all disrespect, LaRouge will bruise your head. 2012, the scene pop, we came to clean clocks. Your team is dream drop, we gave some mean knocks, stomping on the comp. Yeah, we chomping on the bit. Many came and went, but they ain't stopping none of it. Community built, community owned, roasting foes coast to coast, leave your hope postponed. Spirit of Detroit, lemons the lemonade, Yemen and Bangladesh make a stronger braid. City in the city, within the city with deep witty with the banter, cause I can't concrete. Now come and get it if you with it, we committed to go. Detroit for everybody, you already know. Locked and loaded, always ready to bust. Pop and smoke, leave these jokers in dust. City of black, excellence is a must. To leave these crusty little clowns in a ring of rust. From southwest to Brightmoor, 5 points to Denby. Ain't no friendly, we leave our enemies empty with envy. Yeah, we coming heavy, and we're sinking your ship. Now it's time to show the world who they messing with. The rules on the scene, wipe your feet when you creep through the gates of Key. We holding the crown, many enter our grounds, but they get pounded down. Let's turn around, you enter through those gates, you face your fate now. Come take your shot, many come, but they don't leave, they cleave to what we got. City till I die, say hi to the bad guy. It's a pity that your city's too itty-bitty to fly, but we clipping the wings even if they don't flap. Take it back to 2010 and you'll see where we at. This ain't a deep pocket, they try but can't knock it intact. You can't drop it, they buy it, can't cop it, yeah we got it locked. Taking over the game, you see that crest up on our chest, ain't gotta say the name. Community led, community rooted. You can't purchase what was built, you know you feel the movement. This is how we do it, you see. Repping the deep,